So the text that I used to calculate my reading rate was this Ta-Nehisi Coates memoir, The Beautiful Struggle, which is a really nice book. And I think it was easy enough to calculate my reading rate. It was nice that the steps were provided with fill in the blanks in the book. I'm a little math challenged. Not that math challenged. I could have figured it out myself, I think, but it was nice to just have that laid out really simply. And I think it could be easy to do that with students as well, especially if they are reading the same text. So then I could figure out the words per page ahead of time, and that's one fewer calculation for them just to make it a little bit easy. And I was happy with my score. I got a 324, and then the second reading I went up to 354, which I think that's pretty fast. And, it was really easy to see doing the second run right after the first how easy it is to get your score to go up because, the first time I had to pause for more complicated sentences. And the second time I could just breeze right through those. And I think students would have the same experience if they're taking more time on a sentence that has a more complicated structure or taking time to decode a more difficult vocabulary word the second time through. They wouldn't have to do that, and they'd be reading purely for content. So I think it would be easy for them to see the benefit of doing that. I didn't feel stressed when I was doing this because I'm just sitting in my house. I can see how it might be a bit stressful for students the first time, but I think if this was something we did regularly, maybe once a week, that anxiety would go away, especially when they realize that this is just for them and to see their own growth and improvement. I think the main emotion for me was, Ta-Nehisi Coates is not really meant to be read quickly, so I did feel a little sacrilegious speeding through some of that rich writing. And so I, going back to the reading, obviously we wouldn't be reading every text as quickly as we could, and I think that this text is one example of something that you want to spend some time with. I don't always do activities before I do them in class, but I almost always do practice giving the instructions because I've found that is where things can break down. Like the most well-designed activity, if I don't give clear instructions, it can be a disaster. So that's something that I will practice. And I was trying to think of specific times when I had planned something and it didn't go well, and nothing came to mind, but I do recall times when the time didn't go as I had planned. So I had allotted 5 minutes for an activity that ended up taking 20 minutes, or vice versa, 20 minutes for an activity that ended really quickly. And in those instances, I just try to be flexible and, of course, never let the students know that anything has gone wrong. I always have some backup activities for if I get through a lesson too fast, so hopefully they never knew the difference. And also I remembered doing a few activities where students didn't get the cultural references that I had provided, and whether that was because they were just too young to know who the Beatles are or because students in Costa Rica don't necessarily know who Abraham Lincoln is. So that was just a good learning experience to know not to take cultural references for granted. But I like this activity a lot, and I think for sure it's useful.